Welcome to Rich Skill Modelling. This is part 4 of Italeri Operation Silver Bayonet. Scale is 172. This is a diorama series, as you can see by the picture on the box, and I'm currently building the Huey component of the build. So that's the UHIC Gunship. In part 1 I went through the contents of the box, part 2 I started the build, and part 3 I carried on with the Huey build. So in this part 4, again, be carrying on the build with the Huey, and I'll see how I get on from there. So let's jump in and see how well this goes. So I'm starting off the tail section, just placing the two halves together first of all. And once it's dry, I'm using Revit Colour 91 steel just to paint the tip where the mechanism goes. And once it was dry, it was a simple case of fitting the detail. The fit was okay, it wasn't brilliant. There's not much contact points to it, so you have to line it up by eye. As I mentioned in the previous video, I had to use a bit of filler for the engine cowl area. So now I've let it a couple of good hours for it to dry and set. I'm just sanding it down now. In the end, I didn't actually need a lot of filler, but as explained in the previous video, I did need it. It was noticeable, but it worked out okay. Also, as I explained in the previous video, the decal on the rear rotor blade didn't quite meet up. So I simply just painted in the areas where I had to meet up, and I used for this the Revit Aquacolor 05 white, also for the white, and for the red I used the Revit Aquacolor 35 fiery red. The colours actually match up surprisingly quite well to the decal. And it's such a small area, but anyway, if there is any variations, you can't really notice them. I suppose there's an argument I should have just taken the decals off it and painted it from scratch, but honestly, I've done this before and it does work out quite well. I didn't have to use any masking tape because the decal acted as a guide for the brush. I'm now adding the windows to the side doors, and I'm using the micro crystal clear as my cement. The fit, like with all the windows and clear parts, has been excellent on this kit. Next is to fit the rail stabilising wings. The location points for these are really nice. They should just push in without much adjustment needed. I would advise just to hold them for a few seconds though, just to stop them from drooping if the location hole is a little bit wider. But mine were alright. There was a slight bit of droopage, so I just had to straighten them up. Onto the weapon system now. This is a fairly simple sub-assembly. The two main parts are come together, and they're painted in the main colour of Revit Aquacolor 45 light olive. The missile or gun part is Mr. Hobby H38 steel red. The construction, as I said, was a fairly standard, simple construction. Once the cylinder was made, the caps at the end just are placed on. For the mount construction, you can either build it onto the ship from its components or sub-assembly. The instructions seem to suggest building it onto the ship, put the cradle on and then the weapon. I found it easier just to build it as a complete sub-assembly. So once the cylinder was made up, I started adding the parts of the cradle or the bracket, if you like. And it was a fairly simple process. The location points for that matched up beautifully. They just pushed in. Next is the landing guard or skid pad. There's two little feet you have to place on, which I'm just doing now. And then it gets attached. As you can see, the location markers for these are quite deep. It's quite a deep recess, and they have to be held in until they set, or they will pop up. I don't know whether it was warped or it's just designed that way. Next to go on is the rear bottom stabilizer. Now, I put this on now, and that was a mistake. I should have waited right until the end because I ended up breaking this off at one point. Also, the location point is not brilliant for this either. You may have to drill into the fuselage to get a proper fit. It's for these little grab handles. They go on the nice little location points again for this. Overall, the areas where each part fits is quite good. You can see the two areas that needs to be cemented. It says to fit the cradles for the weapon. These can be slightly awkward to fit. It does align with the contour of the fuselage, but it can be a little bit tricky to fit. But still think it's better to sub-assemble them than build directly onto the model itself. Because it is an auction shape, I had to hold it for a good 5 minutes until they were set. But then I was able to go onto the doors. Now I'm having mine open, so it was easy enough fit. Just be careful where you're placing your cement because of the clear plastic. You don't want obviously that to fog up. If in doubt, use a canopy glue to secure it. It'll just take slightly longer to dry, but at least you'll know you won't get any fogging on the window if you're unsure. There's 1 or 2 probes and aerofoils to put on. My camera's not going to pick them up. They are quite small, but they're generally concentrated right on the top of the fuselage. This is the main one going in. As you can see, the location point just for my hand covered up. It fitted very well. For the tip of the probe, I'm using Revit Aquacolor 90 Silver. Then it was time to use Pledge Clear Polish as my varnish and giving everything a good coat of varnish. Time to put on the decals. The only real tricky one I had was the nose cone area. I'm using the microsite decal solution. As you can see, I've sped this up quite a lot. There's not many decals to put on, but as I said, the nose cone it was a little bit tricky, just the nature, the shape of it. If you'd have one like that, don't be afraid to cut it in a natural line, if you have to make it smaller for it to fit. And once the decals are dry, make sure they're thoroughly dry, of course, it was time to apply another coat of varnish to seal them off. Then the last job for this part of the build is just to fit the rotary blades, and these just push on. There's no technical aspects to them, they just go into the locator holes. And as I'm doing this, I will show you the final reveal for this particular part of the build right at the end of here. So my thoughts on this part of the build. Now obviously this diorama set is comprised of different kits from Italeri. Now, I haven't built a Huey before. This is my first one, so I don't have a lot of knowledge of the actual aircraft, or the model kit, of course. This kit was extremely well designed, I think. May not be as much detail as you probably like in the cockpit, to be fair, but it went together extremely well, apart from the engine cowl, which I had a bit of problem with. But again, that may have been a me problem, not a kit problem. So I'll forgive the kit for that. The nose cone decal was problematic, but again, that was probably just a me problem. Overall, excellent kit. Fits together really well, and I really like the size of it. If you can get this kit individually, I would highly recommend it. Anyone can build this kit from beginner and higher skill levels. Everyone will get a bit of something from this kit and have a lot of fun doing so. So as I say, I'll show the final reveal as soon as I stop waffling on. So all that's left to say is, if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds. Subscribe to the channel. Please do so, and make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date, not only with this build, but all my other builds as well, of course. Hit the like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. So I hope you enjoyed the final reveal for this particular part of the build. I'll see you on the next part. Thank you all very much for watching. Bye for now.